All right. So hopefully you all can see the answers, or at least the answers that I think they are. Um, and for those, I'm going to make this comment again. Ms. Lamb and I both are going to talk about this because when we went through this problem last year at training, we thought that AP was, or College Board was being pretty specific, and I'm afraid I'll leave something out. And as she expressed, she thought the answers are also pretty specific. So again, this is problem 2019, question 2. And researchers are investigating the effectiveness of using a fungus to control the spread of insects that destroy trees. The researchers will create 4 different concentration of fungus mixtures, 0 milliliters, a 1.25 milliliters, 3.7, and a 3.75 milliliters. An equal number of insects will be placed into 20 individual containers. The group of insects in each container will be sprayed with one of the 4 mixtures, and the researchers will record the number of insects that are still alive in each container 1 week after spraying. So the first part said, identify the treatments, experimental units, and response variable of the experiment. And so what I came up with is the treatments are the 4 different levels of the fungus mixtures that were going to be applied. And then I listed them, the 0 milliliters, the 1.25 milliliters, the 2.5 milliliters, and the 3.75. Ms. Lamb, do you have any comment on that part of that?
No, that part wasn't so.
Yeah, I didn't think.
Yeah.
I didn't think so, but you know what? Like I said, this was not my strongest problem, so I wanted to make sure that I had Ms. Lamb's stamp of approval on it. And then the experimental units, the 20 groups of insects, or the groups of insects in each container. And I think that one was actually pretty good. If you just said the insects, though, that didn't get you credit. And so that was, and that's, I think, was surprised a lot of students, because a lot of students want to be really brief and say the insects, and no, it's the 20 groups of insects or the groups of insects in each container. I think that one kind of covered it. Is that correct?
Yeah. You've got to talk about groups of insects. Yep.
And then our response variable was the number of insects alive in each container. And once again, this was tricky in that if you just said, oh, the number of insects alive, that wasn't your response variable, because you're ultimately comparing the containers, the number of insects alive in each container. So you need to say the number of insects alive in each container, or the number of insects alive in each group, something along those lines. Was that kind of your understanding of that one as well?
Yes, because if you just say the number of insects alive, you're kind of grouping them all back together. And that's not how the treatment was given. It was given to different groups.
All right. So does this experiment have a control group? Explain your answer. Yes, there is a control group, and the control group is made up of the containers of insects that received 0 milliliters. Ms. Lamb.
I think that, yeah, some students have a misconception that there wasn't a control. They were looking at the 0 milliliters as not the control. I think that's the biggest misconception the students are making. And if they make that kind of assumption, then they're automatically dropped to partial at best for that part, depending on.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point, is if you said that there was no control, that there were just 4 treatments, that got you partial credit, because 0 milliliters means they really weren't receiving a fungus treatment. Because they're not receiving a fungus treatment, that would be the control. So yeah, thank you for that. And finally, describe how the treatments can be randomly assigned to the experimental units so that each treatment has the same number of units. Well, this is going to be similar to what we've already done. Assign all the containers numbers from 1 to 20. Place slips of paper, each with a different number from 1 to 20 in a hat and mix. Draw the papers without replacement. The first 5 numbers drawn will receive the 0 milliliters, the second 5 drawn will receive the 1.25, and the third 5 drawn will receive the 2.5, and the fourth will receive the 3.75. And I think that one was a little more straightforward. Even though assignment takes us a while to express, I think assignment is something we're actually pretty decent at. Ms. Lamb, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that one, I think, yeah, that's good.
Okay. So where am I? Where'd my controls go? So I can stop recording. Don't want to pause. Well,